Good to see you guys. I always like starting these because I got to get the notifications, and it's like, where are we streaming? We are on LinkedIn, YouTube. We are on Facebook, Twitter. Oh, X. I'm sorry. It's X. And I'm going to go ahead and click on LinkedIn. I'll take a discussion. Oh, you know what? I think I've had this happen before. I don't have audio on the iPad. It used to be so easy to control the audio, and it looks like I'm good. There we go. So, and I also noticed that give me a second here, because I'm going to lose the charging on the iPad if I don't go run and get a charger. So, well, I'll tell you what, I've got 34% left. I don't think we'll need it all. Great to see you guys. Well, you can see me, I can't see you, but in the comments, you can ask questions. What I want to talk about today is AI, artificial intelligence, automation, and how these things live together, and share with you some of the things that I know to be true. And we're not going to make any predictions. Nobody wants to hear predictions. First of all, nobody knows. Don't make predictions. I want to step back and think about our business. This is going to be tailored towards the multifamily audience. Is as professional wealth managers, creators in many cases, it's important to hold a high standard of excellence in what we do and what we say and how we're held accountable. If you go to the doctor has seen patients, hopefully, and has seen a knee injury, right? You want to go to a doctor that's seen a lot of knee injuries and fixed a lot of athletes and injuries, wherever the knee injuries happen. You want to go to a doctor that knows those things, right? And has seen recovery and has applied certain medicines and certain procedures. And that doctor probably has partners. That partnership may be with physical therapy, nutritionist. I mean, who knows, right? I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to talk about that. But you can appreciate that process, that they went to school and they understand the concepts and the education around medicine, and they signed off on certain authorities to make sure they do the right thing, right? Say the right thing. They have patient laws, all that stuff. And then you have an industry standard that they're held to in terms of their practice, how the relationships work in practice. And a patient comes in, and there's a process, and there's a quote out there. I can't remember who said it or where it said, but it's like, if a doctor prescribes medicine without thoroughly diagnosing the patient or the injury or the illness, that in that field would be called malpractice. And so, unfortunately, there are new and easy ways, like I'm doing right here, to talk about things in the world. And when you think about that, where do you get your information? How do you know what's true? It's exciting because there's a disruption happening not only in corporate America, but in news media and media altogether, is around the authenticity of truth. And what that means is it's exciting for us because it's on us as leaders to do our own due diligence. And, many years I've grown up watching TV, and my parents watched TV, and we bought brand names because that was what was advertised. And that influenced decisions probably, right? Like, this brand is better than the other because we've seen it everywhere. And, in a lot of ways, we're passing off the power of the decision to others that have entered our mind of what is true and what is effective and what is useful. But now it's hard to distinguish what is true, what will work. Even in business, like a company A may build a product and it may be a great product for company A based off company A's business objectives, the structure of their leadership, the timelines of how they want to work, where they want to work, the culture of their organization. And it's a great product for them. And so there's a logo, and then there's marketing messages around that logo being has signed off and purchased this product and made great use out of it, which is great. Um, that's great, right? And so when you think about all of that, um, we make decisions because others sometimes make decisions. And what we need to know about that is it's difficult because we want to do the right things. We want to make the safe move, right? It's like I trust the due diligence of others over the due diligence of my own understanding of the thing. And that is something to pay attention to, because again, like what works for one company may not work for another. And you know what? I'm going to go over here for just a minute while I'm talking here. And as I explain this, it's important because it's a challenge right now, but it's also exciting because you're going to see the opportunity to. Whoop, let me turn this off. Sorry. You're going to see an opportunity to trust ourselves more. And that trust comes out of doing something, messing it up, trying something, messing it up some more, making an adjustment, and then fixing it, and then knowing for our business, for our use, for our application, the thing that I need and want to do works or doesn't work. And I see a lot of organizations pass up on yes decisions because they're afraid or they are uncertain about something and they haven't even tried it. But it's interesting the way that we pass on trust and credibility to other organizations. It's a great sign of respect to these other organizations that may feel like they've gone farther than you, or they have a more robust structure, or whatever that may be. But it goes back to these big companies. They always want to feel small, right? And then the small companies, they always want to grow big. And I think ultimately everybody just wants growth for their business, for their people, for their customers, all of that stuff. Listen, I'm here hanging out with you. What is it? Wednesday. It's Wednesday. And what I'd love for you to do is I want to know from you what you're thinking about with AI, what you're thinking about with automation. How do you feel about it? Are you trying it? Are you taking new approaches with it? What are your thoughts around, do you believe the relationship between technology and people, how that's impacting your decisions, your organizations, all of those things. I just want to hang out and look. I mean, some of you are going to join live. Right now I'm live. Some of you will watch this in the replay. Regardless, I'd love for you to put in the comments something you're thinking about with AI and automation. Maybe it's a question you have. Maybe it's a thought, an opinion. It could be a fact. I don't know what it is, but I want to kind of keep my focus to AI and automation for this discussion. If those of you that may not know me, I'm Patrick Antrim, and you can see that on the profile and all that stuff. But I'm chairman of the Multifamily Innovation Advisory Council, and I get to share time with multifamily owners and operators every week around some of the challenges and opportunities that they want to create in their world personally. And gives me access to a lot of different diverse conversations around challenges and priorities. And then also running portfolios for and advising for many years around multifamily growth, and both in development and third party and even acquisition. It gives me a really good context to what the purpose of multifamily is, which is to create wealth, protect it, and in many cases over generations. Right, so there's a lot of conversations like how to get started and get going, and then there's a lot of conversations around how to operate and mobilize teams and be more efficient with business. But ultimately, everything comes back. And I learned this from a good friend, Dennis. Good friend, new friend, I should say. And we share old friends, and it was a random experience where I met Dennis, and he mentioned to me, said this comment. He said, everything comes back to the loan. Multifamily is about leverage, if you think about it. Right? You want to get that leverage. You want you need your cash on cash returns to be strong enough to service that debt. But ultimately, every decision you make comes back to how does that going to impact the loan? There's a lot of things that people don't think about those loan documents when stressor comes in. And in a council meeting, we talked about what truly distinguishes a stressor today. How's that changing? What is a distressed asset today? Is it different than what it was in 08, 07, 08, 09? You're seeing a lot of lenders probably working with groups today. There's a lot of stress that we don't know about because it's being worked on. They're trying to figure it out. But for what we're doing, multifamily, at the Innovation Summit, we had a gentleman on stage, Jeff Christensen, talk about, a life event where the owners of the company, if there was a change in ownership that's sudden, that's unexpected, even through death, how does that impact the balance sheets and the stress tests and all the things that relate to conditions in the loan documents? Like, who's thinking about these things, right? So AI and automation is, I was working on something this week that helps even a decision like that become easier to understand by being able to understand certain loan documents that sometimes get buried and shoved away, but being able to access them almost like loan abstracts in a way that's efficient and could be a material change in your operations. Another one that came up this week, which was, these automatic renewals and the changeover of long-term contracts. Even back in the cable contract days where they were 15 years, like, who worked there 15 years, and is that employee still there? Where is that contract? And if you don't know, if the right triggers are not in place to signal notifications like, hey, you got to cancel this thing, or it's automatically renewing, that's a financial decision. That's a business decision, right? So listen, I want to know, what are you thinking about with AI? Are you using it? Put yes in the comments if you're using AI. Are you afraid of it? Are you excited about it? What are the applications you're thinking about? What would you want it to do? I believe, I mentioned earlier, we're not making predictions. I don't do predictions. But I will say, in terms of focus, in choices that we're making about the things that we do, even the technologies that we choose to work with, if the technology that you're buying today in software, I would suspect even this would be a solution provider or a consultant. Really anything, landscaper. If you're buying something from somebody else as a service or technology or software, and it or they are not making you or your company smarter, then that's not the kind of brand that will probably win and sustain. It's kind of an interesting thing, but if you think about the large language models and OpenAI and all of that, those technologies are designed to be supreme intelligence, helping us become smarter. Now, how they get to the data and where the data is and all that is a whole nother conversation. I won't talk specifically about that, but the reality is, it should allow us to do deeper level creative thinking instead of finding the document, reviewing the document, summarizing the document, extracting the information that's important in the document, and then understanding how to think about the decision I need to make now that I know the information and the facts of the document. And so I don't know that anybody has experienced the shift yet. All these things around get your time back. You hear that. We're going to do this, and it's going to allow your leasing agents to have more time. I don't know. It's too early to tell if we're tracking that. I know brands are tracking that, and there are real outcomes to that. But think beyond the transaction of the business. Think payroll. Think recruiting. Think accounting. Think about everywhere you do data entry or type into fields information and move something from system A to system B. What's the value of your moment, your time? Are you in front of the customer because you're doing this? And it's interesting because a lot of people really don't understand what's possible yet. And so they don't know that a shift needs to happen. We're just programmed in habits. We get a job, do a good job, we get promoted, so we feel good about that. And we hire other people and we tell them what we did to do the good job. And we supervise more and more people. And even the way that we buy properties, here's how we do this. Next, there's a lot of opportunity for those people that can bring what I'm calling, or I've learned to call, bilingual, which is understanding real estate fundamentals. We need to know how to put deals together. We need to know the math. We need to know finance. We need to know the pro forma and how to forecast the right things. And honestly, I would argue even to that. Like, there are models that can help us understand that better. But when we do those things, that is our discipline. So if I was a dentist, I need to know those things about the health of teeth and stuff. But I can't just know that anymore. I need to know technology as well. Now, a lot of companies, a lot of people haven't figured out that they're in the technology business. Elon Musk sells Teslas, right? I mean, well, Tesla does, and they look at it like hardware. It's not even a vehicle; it's just a software. It's just the hardware. It's what's contained in the software. They had a bunch of recalls and they did an update. The news talked about recalls. It wasn't really a recall. Like, I don't believe, and maybe you can put in the comments if anybody has a Tesla. I don't think they had to. I think they just got an update while they were sleeping. Could be wrong. But if you look at, first, I'm indoors right now. You're probably indoors watching this. We spend most of our time indoors. So the significance of the work you do in multifamily is great. I mean, it's significant. I don't think we underestimate it. And it's interesting because it's our work, but it's someone else's home. But people spend a lot of time there, and even more so because they're working from home. So if the vehicle, like, we had the mobile phone, right? We had the mobile phone, and we saw what happened there. And now with vehicles, I mean, are your cars becoming more technologically advanced? Are you seeing more things integrate better with them? Are you seeing experiences take place, even from controlling lighting, experience, all that stuff with the vehicle? That was kind of like the next mobile device, was the vehicle. And now people aren't necessarily in their vehicles as much because they're not commuting, because they're working from home in some cases. But the home is that next mobile device. When you think about that, Super Bowl charges for advertising a lot of money. It was here in Phoenix last year, but people watch it in the home you built and manage. So that revenue, like if we have, I have a PR strategic marketing team, and we work with brands that want to extract their knowledge so then they can educate the marketplace, build trust and credibility, get people aware of their product, help them be educated with it. And then we put them in front of people through our podcasts and our events and press releases and all kinds of things. Some people want to read, some people want to watch, some people want to experience. We have an event platform. And part of that is to make an impact with their product information, right? So they need to get it in the hands of their customers. And part of what I teach people to do in this process is there's like 5 different stages to create trust and credibility. I'm not going to go through those, but the first stage is signal. I call it signal. And I've done trainings on this, and the signal is right now, wherever you are, you're hearing me, you're seeing me. So you get 2 signals. You get the video signal and the audio signal, and it's paired. But also, wherever you are, Taylor Swift's in there, right? Gosh, you name it. U2. Think of your favorite artist, all right? Those signals are passing through the room that you're in right now. And in other words, the reason why you can't hear them is because you're not tuned into the signal, but the signal's there. So I see a lot of brands doing things, making their music. Nobody's tuned into it. And that's what our PR and strategic team does, because we know what people want, all that kind of stuff, because we spend time with them, the people that want to buy the things. People don't want products and information. They want what's possible, or they want a problem to go away. And so when you frame your products in context to the problems people want to solve, oh, it's interesting. Oh, wow, there's a match made in heaven there. So that's what we do. But the signal, as I mentioned before, is the most important thing. And so if we're not tuned into it, we miss it. So if I could plant a seed in your head today, that signal is AI, automation, technology is here to stay. It's almost as if going back in time and saying there's this thing called the internet. Like, don't even talk about the internet. Like, it's just going to be something everything needs to be on. Like what we're on the internet right now. It's not like you got to be on the internet. I mean, who's telling everybody right now to be on the internet? So back to my conversation around AI and automation, this is just how it will happen. It's not a thing. We're not going to talk about the facsimile conference, the fax conference. I mean, good thing nobody made that, right? You want to go to the fax summit? We're going to do fax broadcasting. We're going to talk about headlines and how to get them to get their ink in a certain way. I mean, things change. AI, it's not, we're not talking about, it's just business. It's increasing the value that you create for the customer. Let me know if this is helpful. I have no script here. I don't see comments, so I'm talking. If you have a question, ask. If you're watching this in the replay, ask. I will reach out to you. I will answer the question. So the signal, as I mentioned, there's signals all around you, passing right through your brain, but we don't have it tuned into the right thing yet. But those leaders, investment portfolio managers, those that are in charge of creating wealth for multifamily owners and operators, if you can see something other people can't see, you will be able to create value or protect risk, help them avoid something as well. And you think about elevating the profession. There's trade associations that have done great jobs in our industry, and they focus on a lot of things, almost like you try, you have like, your operating systems that try and do everything, right? And what you realize, like, sometimes there's best in class approaches to one thing that, one product that serves one channel, does it really well, owns the process, really knows it well. And what we're doing with the Multifamily Innovation Council is we're owning innovation, technology, and leadership, the things that come together. And we've created and we are reimagining the membership organization for that. And if you could build one today, you would build it different. It would have AI, it would have automation, it would be efficient, it would have community, it would connect with people, it would have events, it would have all these things that we already have, and that's fine, but we're sticking to the category. We're not doing like rent control and regulation and compliance and all that kind of stuff. That is a whole nother lobbying effort and all that stuff. But technology and innovation and leadership, how do you bring together these things in the organization so people can stay in business and build thriving businesses that people want to be part of, customers want to be part of, renters want to be part of, investors want to be part of, employees want to be part of. And it's not a technology. It's not technology itself. I studied under Dr. George Westerman at MIT. I finished a certificate for AI, digital automation, or generative AI, and digital transformation in organization. I completed that certificate in June, or I don't think it was in the summer. I can't remember. I got to spend time with some really incredible people. And that process validated a lot of thoughts that I already had around this collision around technology. Is he mentioned, you've heard of Moore's Law. He mentioned a thing, his law, Westerman law, let's call it. He talked about this law of that technology moves fast, but companies move much slower. Pretty simple statement. You have heard people say, well, our industry is behind. Well, it's not really that behind, because a lot of wealth has been created in this industry. Depends on what you decide behind is. And I know that there are some experiences that could be unique and different, but the way that they are for a reason. And it's not that we're behind. It's just, as his law says, it's like technology can be programmed. And what that means is we can program technology to do something, and most of the time it'll do what we say it to do. It'll fire off the webhook, it'll call the endpoint, all that stuff. People move slowly because they need to be persuaded. They need to be their fears need to be overcome. They need to have certainty. They need to feel trust. There's the human experience that is required to keep up with technology. And honestly, it's moving faster before even the AI conversation happened or accelerated with ChatGPT and the more mainstream of it. AI has been around for a long, long time, right? They just created a user interface at the user level to programmatically communicate with the API, but it's been there. So what I'm saying to you is that you have an opportunity right now to tune into the signal of AI and automation, and reach out to me. I'll take you along every conversation we go down. But the reality is, if you know these things, you can impact the business. You make the business better. It's not about buying the technology. It's about only when the technology, when implemented, makes the business better. And I can define better as it's going to create a better experience for the employee, for the customer, and profitable for the stakeholders. And when you win, what happens? Maybe you don't have to raise as much capital. Maybe you get to choose who you want to work with. Maybe you can reinvest in your product, continue to innovate, make it better. Maybe you can do some interesting thing in your community. For multifamily, what I think is this conversation around rent control and all the frustration of regulations And affordability, I believe we're looking at it entirely wrong. There's a book called Change or Die. In that book, if you read it, I'll give you the essence, just the summary of it. When somebody was going to the doctor and facing heart attack and death was upon them, the doctors said, hey, you got to chew this. You got to change your lifestyle. You got to eat this food, give up this. You got to do this. You got to do this. And when those patients were facing death, like they would die, they still didn't change. So you think you're going to get your company to change? You think you're going to get your investors to change or your employees to change? Technology moves fast because it can be programmed and we don't have to influence it. It doesn't have it just does it. People, they need to be moved through this process. That's the digital transformation part. The digital transformation part is the most important part. And when you get that, you can then bring that your readiness is higher for the tech. A lot of people just try and push the product. And I'll, if you want to hang out with me, I'll tell you about a little bit more about that. I'm going to make a note for that on the fashionistas in the model. But the reason why I say this is the way multifamily works today is you buy a property, you improve the property, you increase the rent, you sell the property. And in there's profit. Now, there's profit along the way with cash flow if you're running it right. But ultimately, if you're doing it right, you'd never want to sell the property, right? But there are different investment objectives aligned with different timelines and the way that the structures were put together. But at the end of the day, at each one of those steps, there's a loan fee, an acquisition fee, a disposition fee, a construction management fee. And then they sell it, and it repeats. And then guess what we do? So we ask the customer to do what? Keep paying the higher price. So now guess what? There's a problem with that. People are like, we can't pay the higher price because wages are not keeping up with that rent increase. Rent increase is healthy for markets. It's important. It's very important. What if I can tell you that there's ways to get the investor and the business, the profits or the yields in a way that you don't have to just keep passing on increases to the customer? And that's what I'm saying around the affordable housing problem is people are trying to solve the wrong problem. Facts and information are not enough. You can say all day long that we have shortage. How long have we been saying that we don't have enough units? How long? 100 years? Probably 100 years. How long? How long have we said it's a supply and demand fundamental? Yes, it is a supply and demand fundamental, and there is data for that. Not going to say that's not a thing. But there are other ways, like what if you could build it better? A third of the cost. I know people are working on this, right? Thank you, John. You're so great. I love you, man. And this is an example of John. I mean, came to our industry to really make it better. Provide healthcare, right, to an industry that could buy at their property healthcare for their residents and give their customer more purchasing power. Who's thinking through things like that? Imagine, if renters are paying, let's just call it half of their income on rent, where's the other half going? Where's the other half going? It's going to a lot of other things while they're in that apartment. And there's ways that AI, automation, different businesses that will come along that will change the way we get to yields. And when you as a leader can understand how to walk into any organization, regardless of the size of the organization, and make an impact, make the business better, create value for the company, create value for the customer, create value for the investor. If you don't know technology or AI, how are you going to be able to do that? Because it's just not going to be efficient. It's not going to be where things are going. You want to go where things are going, not where things have been. And you're constantly around those that have a good understanding of how things have been. And rightfully so, great track record. But did you know the value of your skills are going away? It's the value of the action that you do and the thing that you do with the knowledge you have that you get going and make the business better. That's the value today. Not that you know how to do budgets. You're not going to need to know how to do that. We have a partnership with Visibly. They're a great company that does pretty interesting things around decision intelligence and underwriting deals. Management. They've taken the pain of budget processing and made it better. So do we need to hire people that know those things anymore? I don't know. But AI and automation, going back to that, would love to know. What are your questions about it? I have developers on payroll building these things. I know intellectually, I've studied it, I've put it to work, I'm using it in my business, I'm making the life better for our customers. I'm learning those things. I'm doing, and I'm not just academically learning them, I mean doing them. And when you spend time and you write your own check for something, you tend to learn faster. And that would be a great thing for you to do, is build something, break it, see how it works. Do those things in fail-safe environments on your own account, right? But when you understand, if you've been involved in a lease-up or a new development, you know what happens behind the drywall. It's almost as if you can walk in a property and see through the wall, like X-ray vision, right? Because you were involved. You were there with the framing walk. You were there with the framer and the finishers and the flooring and all these things that were coordinated. And so you have an appreciation for all the things that have to come together to make something happen. So when you walk into a model home and there's nice furnishings, everyone sees the furnishings. You see the business. You see everything. It's the same with AI and automation. And when you know that what is possible with these things, you will look at your workflow differently. You will come up with new ideas, new creations. You will ask better questions. Pretty exciting. I'm not seeing any comments here on if anybody has any questions. I'm going to just keep going. I'll keep going for the time being, but I want to move on to. I mentioned earlier I was going to go back to fashionistas. So there's a lot of what we call early adopters. These are the people that do the new thing. They're like, oh, let's try that. Let's try this. Let's try that. Let's try this. Dr. George Westerman described this as fashionistas, and he's got this quadrant. So if it's a 2-up, the four quadrants. At the top left is fashionistas, and these are the early adopters, the people that try new things. Okay, and I'll just describe the quadrants real quick. And the other top right is the digital master, and that's what everybody's aiming for, right? And it's high on leadership capability. Is you're either a digital master or you're a fashionista. So you're high on digital capability. Now, inside digital capability, very few of it is actually the technology itself, right? It's about operations, efficiency, experience, okay? To be digitally mastered. On the other lower side, you have beginners and you have the conservatives, and then the bottom axis is the leadership capability. So you have digital masters or digital capability high, and then you have leadership capability like this. And at the top right is digital masters, where you want to be. Now, very few are there, right? Because it's a journey and things are always changing. But what we know is we don't want to be at the bottom. We don't want to be the beginners, and we don't want to be the conservatives. The conservatives are the ones that are, they're playing too much governance. They're not trying things, right? Their margins are good because they're not, trying, distracted by things, and they're kind of linear in their progress, right? And they'll soon fall behind, and they're going to miss out and leave money behind. On the off parallel, which is the top left, which is the fashionistas. These are the ones that are like, oh, we're going to try that. We're going to try this. And they've stacked a lot of things up, but they haven't really connected it all together and pulled it into an ecosystem where they're making their business better. So their margins are 9% higher, the fashionistas, because they're growing revenue and they're accelerating. And what can happen is it can feel like false signals. It can feel like progress is there. Hey, we got more leads. We got this going on, whatever, because you're trying something new, and it's like signal. And it's you're growing, but you're leaving some margins on the table. The off parallel of that, which is in the bottom right, high on digital leadership or leadership capability, conservative, but leaving revenue on the table. They're not realizing the revenue that they could. Their margins are good, as I said, but they're leaving some revenue on the table. Now, the digital masters at the top right are the ones that are high on digital capability and high on leadership capability. So again, it's that dual language, knowing your domain, your real estate fundamentals, but also knowing technology. So you're high on digital and you're high on leadership, which is a digital master. And in that, there are 9% more growth in revenues and 26% more growth in margins. So that's where you're aiming for. And there's reasons why people don't ever get there, is because they're not surrounded by a group of leaders that are helping them move through these types of things, right? They're not helping people move through what's required to actually move the business forward. And there's no training ground for that, right? There's no history if you haven't done these types of things before. So that's why we're getting some great results inside the Multifamily Innovation Council, is because we're spending time with people. This originated out of the Multifamily Innovation Summit, but now it's like, hey, it's 52 events for the price of one. We meet every week. People don't have to join every week, but we meet every week. They get a members area where they can watch the recordings. But it's about not information, it's about getting the result. So one of the things that we do in this council is we inventory. Well, recently, we did a roadmap for 2024. We inventoried the problems that we believe, the challenges that we may have, or the opportunities we want to create, and then we got into small groups and we're ranking those now. And so when we rank those challenges, now we're like, well, who can solve those? And we're bringing those people together to help get to work, not get informed. We don't need more information. We don't need more trends. We need to be able to get it into our business, get it to work, so we can become that digital master. Anyway, so that's some of the things that we're doing. Listen, I'm not getting any questions here, so I'm going to wrap up. I've been on here, 43 minutes, and I've given you an unscripted little, rant that I hope was valuable. If you found it valuable, put a note in the comments. If you're watching this on a replay and you thought it was valuable, put a note in the comments and let me know, like, what do you need to learn or want to learn around AI and automation? Where do you see it creating value in your organization? I would love to hear from you guys. And maybe next time we'll bring on some guest experts and we'll do some fun stuff. I know we're doing that at our events. If you want to get involved at the Multifamily Innovation Council, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put up this really cool thing. And let's see if I can no, I can't do this. I can't do that right now. We'll do it another time. I had a little QR code thing but you go to multifamilyinnovation.com and you click on council, and you can click become a member, and you can see how you can join us. You can see the value is absolutely incredible. It's not something we're going to offer forever because it's really irresistible. We are reimagining the membership organization in our industry, and we'll need leaders over the next 15 years to help us achieve these things. But it's about results. It's about personal success inside your own company, your own business, whatever that may be. And there's ways, if you're a partner, you've got a tech solution or an innovation or a product that helps customers every step of the way, not just the sales step, but every step of the way. There's an opportunity for you to get involved and support the initiatives that we have, and also get access to some really great exposure. All that information is on that page. I won't take the time to read that there, but go to multifamilyinnovation.com, click on council, and you can read all about that stuff. And hopefully I've made some level of impact for you today. If you have ideas about other topics or other priorities, would love to see those in the comments. And again, if you're watching this on the replay, put a note in the comment. Don't be afraid. I will reach out to you, and we can engage wherever it makes sense. All right. Well, appreciate you guys sharing the time with me, and we'll see you on